Hi, I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin. It's Wednesday, November 27th. Time for another edition of my college football free picks. A bit of a bonus this week as I will have a free pick video for Friday the 29th games and also Saturday the 30th. Three picks on each day. Let's get right to them. Let's start with the Friday games. The Saturday video will follow shortly, so keep an eye on that. Last week, 2-1 in college football with our free picks. Let's continue to winning here for Friday. Again, folks, I'm currently recording on Wednesday the 27th, so these lines are subject to change depending on when you view these videos, or this video, excuse me. And they will be graded on the lines I use today at the time of this recording. That's standard practice for me. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes against me, but it's the fairest way to grade the plays. Let's get right to the games. Let's start with on Friday the 29th, Miami of Ohio at Ball State. That game kicks off at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Right now, I'm finding Ball State as a 3.5-point favorite. This is a Miami, Ohio team that's enjoying a nice season, 6-1 in the MAC. They've already locked up a spot in the MAC championship game. As a matter of fact, they've gone 5-0 straight up in ATS in their last 5 games. The Miami defense also over their last 3, allowing just 13 points and 283 yards per game. They'll be facing a Ball State team that's lost 4 in a row, and the Ball State defense, as opposed to Miami of Ohio, hasn't fared well over their last 3 games, and that's evidenced by them allowing 40.3 points and 545 yards per contest over their last 3. Nice college football betting angle, simple, straightforward. Any team that's playing in a conference game that's won 5 or more games in a row, like Miami of Ohio, and they're facing an opponent that's lost 4 or more games in a row, like Ball State, they've gone 86-16 straight up since 1986. Considering this straight up college football betting angle supports the underdog in this situation, it takes on even greater significance. I like Miami of Ohio here, plus the 3.5 at Ball State. Next game, a huge matchup in the American Athletic Conference as the 10-1 Cincinnati Bearcats travel to Memphis to take on the 10-1 Memphis Tigers. Kickoff is slated for 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Right now, the Memphis Tigers are an 11-point favorite in this contest. This is a Cincinnati team that's won 9 straight since suffering their only loss at number 1 Ohio State earlier this season. However, 3 of their last 4 wins have come by 3 points or fewer, including close calls against South Florida and East Carolina, winning each of those games by a field goal apiece, and those are 2 losing college football programs right now. Memphis, on the other hand, speaking of South Florida, Memphis is coming off a 49-10 road win at South Florida, and this is a Memphis offense that's really clicking on all cylinders right now. Over the last 5 games, they scored 42 points or more on each occasion and also racked up 474 yards or more of total offense in each of those contests. Cincinnati's already earned a spot in the AAC title game next week. Memphis, believe it or not, with their 10-1 record, has not. They need a win against Cincinnati to clinch a spot in the AAC title game, which would create a rematch against Cincinnati. However, if Memphis fails to win this game and Navy defeats Houston, it's Navy that will face Cincinnati in the AAC championship game. Point being, Memphis has a lot to play for. Cincinnati does not. I think that will factor into the result of this game. I like the Memphis Tigers, who are playing far better over the last few weeks than Cincinnati. I like them minus 11 over the Cincinnati Bearcats. Final game, a in-state rivalry as Washington State at Washington, 4 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Friday. I'm going to focus in on a total here of 63.5. This is a Washington State team that's now gone over the total in 4 consecutive games, and those 4 contests averaged a whopping 76.3 points scored per outing. Washington State, has scored 41 or more points in 7 of their 12 games this year, and they've also eclipsed the 600-yard total offense marker 4 times already. Washington 4-1 over the total this year when facing teams that currently have a winning record. In those games, averaged over 60 points scored per contest. This is also a Washington State team, folks. If you're not an avid follower of college football, you know it's a pass-happy attack with air raid offense with head coach Mike Leach, and the statistics bear that. As you're looking at, Washington State has passed the ball on 76.4% of their offensive plays this season, and they're averaging an enormous 457 yards per game passing. Washington State, defensively, on the opposite end of the spectrum, they've allowed 103 points and 1,265 yards in their last 2 games against Stanford and Oregon State. Both of those teams currently have losing records. So as good as they are offensively, they give it up just as much defensively, and I think that they'll be able to score on the Washington Huskies their fair share of points, and I think Washington will be able to move the ball at will on this Washington State Cougar defense. I like this game to go over the total of 63.5. Repeating again, Miami of Ohio plus 3.5 at Ball State. The Memphis Tigers as a 11-point home favorite over the Cincinnati Bearcats, and the Washington State-Washington game over 63.5. Those are my 3 free picks for Friday, November 29th in college football. Be sure to visit my website, rbwins.com. It's there you'll find all my late releases and paid selections. That's rbwins.com, where you pay a little to make a lot. Be sure to stay tuned, as shortly I will follow this up with my Saturday college football free pick video as well. Until the next time, by the way, folks, happy Thanksgiving. Until the next time, good luck with all your picks.